All right, let's get down to the business of finishing this section up, 6.5. So we are going to graph y equals negative secant pi over 3x plus 2. So we have the parent function, y equals secant of x, which we know is the reciprocal of cosine. Okay, so once again, if we use our little, what do we call it, our little unit circle, I know that if I take the secant of 0, I'm going to get 1 because this point is 1, 0. So 0, 1, just like cosine. And then at pi over 2, cosine would be 0. Well, that means secant is undefined. Remember on the last problem I said cosecant and cotangent had O's in it, so x equals 0 was an asymptote? Well, there is no O in secant, so x equals pi over 2, 0 is not an asymptote there. And then at pi, we cross at negative 1, 0, so we'll have a point at pi, negative 1, again, just like cosine. So let's see what happens from there. Now the x value is being multiplied by pi over 3. So we're going to divide our x values by pi over 3, which is like multiplying by the reciprocal. We're going to multiply our x values by 3 over pi. Then you notice there's a negative here. I'm multiplying secant by, and then I'm adding 2. So the y values are going to be multiplied by a negative 1, and then 2 is going to be added. So let's do this. 3 over pi times 0 is still 0. Here I have pi over 2 times 3 over pi. So the pi's are going to cancel, leaving us with 3 halves. So the asymptote will now be at 3 halves. Last but not least, pi times 3 over pi, again the pi's will cancel and we'll be just left with 3. The y values, negative 1 plus 2 is 1, and positive 1 plus 2 will give me 3. So 0, 1. I'm going to use a scale of 3 halves, or 1.5, because these x values are all 1.5 apart. So at 3 halves, I'm going to have an asymptote, so let me grab that. All right, got it. Don't need that. So 3 halves right there. And then finally 3, 3. So now let's continue. So I've got a maximum. Remember, secant looks like a bunch of parabolas. This is going to be a parabola down. This is going to be a parabola up. So after that, it's going to come another asymptote. So let me draw an asymptote at negative 3 halves is where that would be. I could also draw another asymptote here at what would be 4.5 or 9 halves. And then draw just a couple more points, and we'll have more than one cycle. So up at 3, back down at 1, down at 3, up here. So it's going to kind of look like this. We're going to have a parabola up like that, and it will come up and approach an asymptote here as well. Then we've got a parabola down inside here. Then a parabola that goes back up. And if I draw this one, I'll have 2 complete cycles. One up and one down is one cycle. Then it starts all over. One up and one down again. Okay, and remember, use your calculator to check your graphs. Okay, you know, you can see here the midpoint or the midline of the graph is going to be at y equals 2 because the graph was shifted up 2. And you can see the parabolas are equally spaced above and below that equilibrium point. Okay, so last problem here, we're going to write an equation for a graph, and I'm going to ask you to write 2 equations. Now hopefully when you look at this, you see the cubic-y looking curves, and you say, okay, that must be either a tangent or a cotangent. Now the first thing you might say is, well, they're negative cubic, so I would put a cotangent there. But then the other problem is even though it looks like a negative cubic, cotangent has an O in it, right? So it usually has an asymptote at 0. So if I have to use cotangent, I would have to shift this graph. So I'm going to show you some different ways you could write this, okay? Let's say we start with tangent, right? We can see here that I'm going to make a little ancillary line here, that this is kind of that change in curvature point of the cubics. It kind of curves upward and then boom, it curves downward. So that this graph appears as though usually that points at the origin that it goes through. And in this case, it is not going through the origin. At this point, it is going through -2. Now this tells us that the graph has been shifted down to, no matter whether I use tangent or cotangent. Okay? Now if you look at the period, one of these cycles is being completed in 2 tick marks. We can see that the scale on here is clearly 1. So one period is being completed in 2 units. So I can see that the period is 2. Now when we get cotangent and tangent graphs, we can assume that we won't have any vertical dilation, so no vertical stretch or compression. You won't have to worry about that because that would be very difficult to ascertain unless we had other points that we knew were definitely on it. So don't worry about any kind of vertical stretch. So how can I write this? Well, let's say I decide to use a tangent graph first. Well, the reason I'm using tangent is because if I use tangent, I don't have to shift the graph left or right. But what is happening is tangent should increase instead of decrease. So because it's decreasing, it must have been reflected. So this must be a negative tangent graph. Now, negative tangent of what? Well, if it was just tangent of x, we would be having a period of pi. The period is 2 instead. So if the period is 2, then b can be found by taking the normal period, which is pi, and dividing it by the actual period, which is 2. So b is going to be pi over 2 times x. I don't have to add or subtract anything from x because it's decreasing right through that midline just like tangent always does. It goes through the midline. And then we said it was shifted down 2. So there's one equation I could give to that graph. Now what about another one? Well, let's try a cotangent graph. Now cotangent would not have to be negative because it's decreasing cubics just like it ought to be for cotangent. It's still going to be shifted down 2. However, here's the difference. A cotangent graph, we know, would have an asymptote right on the y-axis. This graph instead has an asymptote that's been shifted over 1. Now it doesn't matter if I went 1 to the right or 1 to the left. I could also go 3 to the right. Anywhere you find it, so you decide, hey, cotangent usually has an asymptote on the origin. Find any asymptote and you can shift it over that far. Now I'm going to shift it. I'm going to use the option of shifting 1 to the right. The period is still 2, so pi over 2 will still be pi over 2, but watch this now. What we have to do is using that same coefficient b, because the period, whether I use tangent or cotangent, is still going to be 2, but then I have to shift the graph 1 to the right, which would give me an x minus 1. Now it doesn't matter if I did x minus 1, x minus 3 to shift it 3 over, x plus 1 to shift it 1 to the left, x plus 3, those would all be good equations. Now I want to see if I can get this same looking graph no matter what. I want to check that my equations are correct is what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to use a scale of -4 to 4 on the x-axis by ones, and -8 to 4 on the y-axis by ones. So let's take a look at that. So hopefully I can remember that. Negative tangent pi over 2x minus 2. So negative tangent pi over 2x. So I'm going to put the pi over 2 in parentheses because all of this pi over 2 is multiplied by x. Close the parentheses around the tangent and then down 2. And then I said I think we were going to go from -4 to 4 on the x-axis by ones and -8 to 4 on the y-axis also by ones. Graph. Make sure you're in radian mode, by the way. Radian's very important for all these graphs. So it comes down, asymptote at -3, asymptote at -1, goes right, crosses the axis at 0, -2, just like we said. And hopefully you agree that looks just like this graph, okay? With, I guess, the only exception that it's green and mine is blue, okay? Now watch, I'm going to leave that equation in there. I'm going to put the cotangent graph in there. Now how do I graph cotangent? It's got to be 1 over tangent, right? So if I want to graph, let's look at that equation again. I'm going to write this down just so you understand what I'm doing. When I want to put cotangent in my calculator, I don't have a cotangent key. So I have to put 1 over the tangent of all this crud. So I'm going to have to put 1 over tangent pi over 2 x minus 1. Now I'm not taking the tangent of the -2, so that -2 can stay out there. So I got to put it in that way. So let's go back to my calculator here. Turn off my marker. Okay, 1 over all this stuff. Ready? Tangent in parentheses pi over 2, close parentheses, times parentheses x minus 1, to shift it 1 to the right, close the parentheses around all of that stuff I'm taking the tangent of, and then also I got one more parenthesis to close around the whole denominator. Okay, so I got 1, 2, 3 parentheses being closed, 4 parentheses being closed, and 1, 2, 3, 4 being open. So 4 left parentheses and 4 right. You got to make sure you have an equal number of both. And then of course we're shifting it down too. Now, this will be a red graph, but it should trace right over my blue graph. And you can see that it is. Those are the exact same equation. And so that's pretty strong verification there that these folks know what they're doing. Okay? One more thing I want to show you. I said you could, since the period is 2, you could shift it 2 more anyway. We said there was an asymptote at 3, at -3. Let's say there's also an asymptote 3 to the left, right? What if I went +3? Well, that should be the same graph. If you just shift it over 2 units, you notice the red is right on top of the blue. So anytime you shift it over where an asymptote is for cotangent, you're going to be in good shape. Okay? All right. I'll let that graph. We are done, and hopefully you understood what I was talking about. Good luck.